Hello, everyone. Just a quick update from NATO headquarters here in Brussels. Well, tensions are once again rising between NATO and Russia. We have seen over the last couple of weeks, really since the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine, a continuous flow of Russian disinformation, of Russian lies about an imminent NATO intervention, a potential attack on Russian forces, or even an attack on Russia itself. And now we see that the Russians have gone up another notch. This is not the first time that I come to you from this briefing room to debunk Russian lies. And this will not be the last time, unfortunately. Because it seems that the Russian leadership is living in some sort of parallel universe where they make up things that simply do not exist. The latest example is this. As you probably know, there was a meeting between President Putin and the Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, at the Moscow Security Conference earlier this week. It was the first time that they met in more than 2 years. And President Putin used this meeting to once again spread lies about NATO's alleged plans to attack Russia through Ukraine. And he said that if NATO had deployed its forces in Ukraine, that would be considered by Russia as an attack on its own forces. A direct attack on Russia, and therefore, anything could happen. He also said that he might consider as a response to such an attack the use of nuclear weapons. Well, let me just say this. NATO will not attack Russia. There is no plan to attack Russia. And what Russia's doing now is spreading lies to create a pretext for its own future aggression. President Putin said also that he wanted to see a guarantee that NATO will not deploy any forces in Ukraine. Well, I can't give him such a guarantee because it's not up to me. But what I can tell him and what I can tell you is that there is no intention whatsoever on the part of NATO to deploy forces in Ukraine. This is a country that is being attacked, that is under attack by Russia. And it is the right of Ukraine to decide how to defend itself, also with the help of its international partners. That is what the Ukrainians are doing. They're defending their country against an unjustifiable, inexcusable act of aggression by Russia. And they have every right to do so. And NATO will continue to support Ukraine in its struggle for freedom, democracy, and sovereignty. But we will do so from outside Ukraine. We will continue to provide political and material support. But no troops, no planes, no warships, nothing that could lead to a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. That is not our intention. It's not our goal. And I think it's not what the Russians want either. I think, deep down, even in the Kremlin, they know perfectly well that NATO will not attack Russia. We have no plans to do so. And it's a strong thing to say that you might use nuclear weapons in response to an attack on your own forces. You cannot exclude the possibility that this is all just made up by the Russians. And I'm very sorry to say this, but when I hear such statements, I can only conclude that the Russian leadership is living in some sort of parallel universe, a world that is not based on facts and reality. Thank you very much.